Happening? Is it on? Are we live? Yes, we are. Hello, everyone. Hey there, Daryl. Hey there, Sam Dune. How's it going, guys? Yeah, we're gonna be streaming today. It feels like it's been a long time. I figured better late than never. I think I only streamed once last month, but we're back into the train here. Now, a little bit of a caveat. We're gonna be chill today. Everything's gonna be cool and relaxed. I was playing some Dark Heresy last night, and someone cracked out the sake, you know. So it got a little bit dangerous. A little bit of brain fog today. Hey, everybody. Yeah, there's been some crazy news. You guys. We're going to talk about it today. I stream, says Semi the Ghost. Do you stream? I do stream. I do stream occasionally. I do stream. Yes, indeed. Hey, Hogs War. Dead silence. Uh-oh. Well, we're actually going to play because we're going to need some audio on this one. So we're going to be doing a test, okay? I know I should be doing this, like, outside of the stream. Like, I shouldn't be forcing you people to engage with this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I know of no better way. I can't do sound mixing. I can't do it. Sake. Yes. Yeah, someone cracked out the sake. And I can't say no to it. Although usually it's when I'm playing Bushido, it's when I'm usually drinking the sake, not Dark Heresy. But this time it worked out. Hello. Hey there. Yeah. So it's Big Sunday. Absolutely crazy news this week. Like seriously, it's been a lot of news. a lot of wargaming news indeed. Most of it Warhammer. Sounds fine. Excellent. That's good. Yes, Spellfire, you are. So, I apologize to everyone in America right now, because this is a very early stream, I think, whenever everyone's kind of trying to get over it. I've been doing a whole ton of hobbying lately. So, I've been really busy, actually, playing war games, if you can imagine such a thing. I've been playing a ton of different games. I've been playing a bunch of Silver Bayonet from Joe McCullough. I feel like I'm really late onto this hype train for Silver Bayonet. Feels like everybody else has played Silver Bayonet. And it did come out in like 2018. But YouTubers like Games Night, PT Tips, etc., they have been really into the game. I think the fan base is kind of built up around it. For those who don't know, Silver Bayonet is like a miniature, it's a skirmish level game, so you're only controlling like 7 models, and then you're playing as Napoleonic soldiers, fighting monsters and each other, and giant snakes in my case, which I'm still having to paint up. You can't see it because it's all been primed, but this is a giant snake. Because I have the Egypt expansion is what I've been playing in. Because for some reason, I've weirdly got a ton of desert terrain. I don't know why. I have a lot of desert terrain. It's 1 a.m., says Daryl. Where is it 1 a.m.? 7 a.m. for you, but you've been up since 4:30. That is insane. See, for me, it's 3 p.m. Okay? So for me, it's a reasonable hour. So I apologize. It's weird. Maybe I should be doing these later. Should I be doing these like later on in the evening? I do stay up quite late. Stay up quite late. I'm a little bit of a night owl. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Silver Bayonet Egypt, fighting mummies, fighting skeletons. I actually have a bunch of the War Games Atlantic skeletons I was painting up. Very easy to paint skeletons. You just slap on a little bit of, you prime them white, or you kind of slap chop them with some skeleton horde. You just throw in some contrast skeleton horde. Boom, they're done. You're like, wow. These look like weathered old bones. They look how I feel. That Mr. Joker says, Silver Bayonet is basically sharp versus werewolves. I'm down for it. Yeah. So I've been doing that, and I have been made aware. I really hope this isn't under an NDA. I think this has been announced. But the next expansion for Silver Bayonet is in Venice. Is set in Venice. And I saw that and was like, okay, that's interesting. And it made me get back into Carnivale. If anyone from TT Combat, if you remember this game, I reviewed it like on this channel, I think like 3 years ago. Carnivale, where you play as various different kind of factions within the city of Venice at the turn of the 19th century. And you are basically, there's like magic, and it's kind of Necromunda. Honestly, it's a really good version of Necromunda in a alternative historical fantasy game setting. But it really makes me think of Necromunda because you want to go up high, right? Necromunda has always had this thing where if you ever see boards of Necromunda, there's these insane boards, and they're so vertical. They're like these giant towers. But I've never understood that because there is no reason to go up in Necromunda, and every reason not to, because when you get shot at and you're near a ledge, you can fall over and die. And that sucks, you know? In Carnivale, though, you want to go up because of Venice as a city is filled with canals, and they absolutely crisscross the board. So there's this little awkward element of it as a war game where you're gonna have to have a lot of like water tiles almost, or the opposite, which is what I'm doing, which is I'm printing off like pavements and then using a water mat underneath to make it look like there's rivers. And there's a ton of water in Carnivale. However, to get around that, they allow you to jump very, very easily. Actually, I've got one here. So I've been printing off a ton of these, and then I just crisscross them around to create like a sort of Venice board. But you can jump really easily in Carnivale. You roll, like, it's very easy. You make like a dex roll when you want to jump. So normally you'll be moving like 4 inches as a character. It's like I take a move action, you can move 4 inches. But when you jump, you make a dex roll, you roll a bunch of d10s, and for every single success, you get to move like 2 inches. So if you're really good at dex, you're rolling like 6 dice, you could potentially move like 12 inches in a jump. So you could leap from building to building. And whenever you make a jump and you land on an obstacle, you get to make another free jump. So you could just like parkour your way across the city. It's very much like Assassin's Creed, where you're just like leaping from rooftop to rooftop. And then you get this massive bonus to your armor pen for like leaping down off a building and landing on your opponent and making an attack. You get like a ton of penetration. Oh, Commander HHL, thank you very much for the membership there for 5 months. Discourse loves the content. Keep up the group work. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to super chat them. I will get to them instantly instead of being really slow to do so. Greg Primer, hey, Greg, says, the opening of a massive Egyptian museum and Brendan Fraser starring in the new Mummy movie. It's all happening in Northern Africa. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, a little bit of an Egypt vibe. I don't know why I've got so much Egyptian terrain. I don't know. I just picked it up. I think it was I got the Battlefield in a Box stuff from... Oh, who is that company? They do all the Battlefield in a Box stuff. Guild Force 9. That's like pre-painted, pre-made resin terrain that they just sell in a box. It's just ready. You open the box and it's ready to go. I bought that, bought a bunch of those, bunch of like old like statues and a big obelisk and stuff, and it looks really cool. And I have a little desert map. Florian Jan 3462 says Silver Bayonet v Carnivale. I know, right? Like I know how to get the views, don't I? I'm like pitting the 2 biggest war games in history against one another. Don't worry, we're gonna get the Warhammer soon because there's some unbelievable Warhammer news, as you can tell from the title. The most unbelievable news that genuinely shocked me. It genuinely shocked me. I should have said this will shock you, shouldn't I? I should have done that. Damn. I'm not good enough at the old clickbait. Spellfire says preempted me, was about to say sounds like Carnivale. Yeah. Some of the Carnivale scenery is deadly. It is. What the hell's that noise? Prestige P says, I have a vague belief the Necromunda started life as a Judge Dredd block gangs game, hence the terminology like Jews. Would explain the verticality too. I suspect that it was just Necromunda. I actually don't know the background to Necromunda, but I suspect it was just made because, like, and is inspired by Judge Dredd, you know? I suspect it was inspired by Judge Dredd. Okay, so we're gonna... let me know if you can hear the audio, by the way, like the background noise, because there's gonna be a little video I want to play soon, so we're gonna need the audio levels. We're gonna need the audio levels. Yes, my experiment. Let's go. John Atans Tefanson, 1847, what a name, says, I think I've seen people steal similar terrain pieces on online secondhand store. Didn't know there was such a game. Verathorn says, desert terrain is strangely the most flexible sometimes, very easy to make it sci-fi or fantasy. I totally agree. I think it's really awesome. I really like desert themed games and like settings and stuff. I just think they're really cool. I played a lot of like Conan, and to me, Conan is in a desert. I know sometimes it's in a jungle, but it's often in a desert. Kissy Boyd Swan says, Super Chat $20. Thank you very much, says, played Little Big War last night. Big fun. Awesome. Thank you very much, Kissy. Really appreciate the Super Chat. Glad you had fun with Little Big War. That's awesome. Now, for those who don't know, I did create my own war game. It's called Little Big War. We're going to turn down the volume a little. Called Little Big War. It's on Wargame Vault or Patreon right now. I should be linking this thing. Why don't I have a link to this game? Wow, that's crazy. Do I have a link in the description? I should have a link I should be plugging this game more often. It's really awesome. It's an RTS based war game. It's the first of its kind. There's been none other like it, or at least it's the definitive one. You build bases in it, you construct units, you trade up units, and you go to war with your opponent. It's really cool. I basically really wanted to play classic real-time strategy games like Command & Conquer and StarCraft and stuff. I always figured they should be in a war game. You should be able to play those in your tabletop, but it never seemed to be available, so I made it. And I think it's cool. I think it's a really fun game. Glad to hear that you enjoyed it, Casey. That's really awesome. Hey there, Mistrix says, hi Discourse, hey chat, hey there. Little Big War, awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to see people like on the Discord and stuff. People have been sharing files, so there's like little people have been sharing files to make for your buildings, because in the game you have to build your base and then create units and go attack the enemy. So a lot of people aren't going to have structures, you know. They're not going to have like buildings. So people on the Discord have been sharing files to use as buildings. There's like tons of free files, as well as there's people who've been using like illustrated like cards and stuff that they've been sharing. It's been really cool to see like the creativity and stuff coming out. That's been really awesome. I think that's going to be like I think that's the biggest barrier to entry, right? For like a base building war game are the bases, because so few games use that, right? Like even Warhammer has a little bit of buildings. It's got like the turrets. It's got. I remember there was a while there where they were trying to do like faction terrain and stuff, but no game has ever been audacious enough to be like, to build a grunt you need a barracks. Until now. You need to have an actual video of Little Big War. I can't find any video porn of this game. So I do have like a what is Little Big War video, but it's unlisted. It's on the like the Wargame Vault page. It's on the Wargame Vault page, which is pretty cool. But I don't have like a how to play. Now the game is like super simple in my opinion. I think it's like very easy to play. It's very intuitive. I designed it to be really accessible and like easy for people to play. It was kind of like the one-page rules of war games as well. Only in my opinion a little bit better. There we go. There it's coming out. It's coming out. But people have been asking for a how to play, and I think people want to see like the how to play before they drop money on it, you know, which is fair. But the book itself is only like, I tried to make it as streamlined as possible. It's like 13 pages or so, you know, just filled with art and pictures and stuff. So I'm working on a how to play video, but how to play videos are kind of tough. I don't have like a let's play environment, if you know what I mean. You know, there's some channels that can do like a lot of like gameplay oriented content where they have miniatures on a table. I can't do that really here. I can't really do that here. Spellfire says, Confrontation was his name. They gave the rules away in White Dwarfs. Spellfire still remember the White Dwarf game that inspired Necromunda. The range of the guns were insane. Like a las cannon at a range of about 1,200, but you lose accuracy the longer you shoot. That's pretty cool. That's neat. I always like games. So the Batman mini game and again, another game I was working on, Blood Black. Basically, I based it on the Batman mini game in the sense that the guns in it, I thought was really interesting, had no range. They just shot. Because it was like a small scale skirmish game, and so the idea of it was essentially you were always in the effective range of a gun. And I kind of liked that. I kind of dug it. It was pretty cool. But obviously it could be super overpowered and super kind of crazy without any limiting factors. The limiting factors in that game was it's really dark out. So you're trying to shoot at people. You can't really see them very well unless they're close to you or by a light source. So the game kind of became, you're trying to stay out of the light. You know, if someone's got a gun gun and they're like standing on a building, like looking around, you want to stay out of the light so they can't really see you, and then creep up on them, which I thought was a really cool. It made the gameplay. It gave like a little texture to the gameplay, you know? It created a little bit of a puzzle for both players. If one player had a gun and the other players didn't, then it created a little bit of a puzzle. I thought that was fun. I know that there is the Rain in Iron game that Uncle Adam, well, Snarling Badger Studios put out recently that I thought was really interesting. I haven't had a chance to get to check it out, but in that there's like demons versus robots, and I think the demons are entirely melee and the robots are entirely ranged as two factions. And so I was like, wow, okay, how are you gonna make that fun? Because I feel like, this is just me, but I feel like when I play a game and if one faction is like really dedicated to that extent, it's right. If I fight Tau in Warhammer, it's not as fun for me if it's just entirely into shooting, right? It's either I die on the shooting phase or I kill them on the assault phase, the end. So I'm wondering, like, how did they work to make it so that, you know, the shooting faction doesn't just get closed in on in melee and die versus just shooting to death all the demons like the second that they see them. It just feels very stark to me. What's this live streaming at a time that's convenient for me? Is something broken, says Pixie. There you go. So maybe I'm not too early. Maybe I'm just on time then. Maybe I'm just on time. Grey Primer says, you're a Mystic GuildCon. I ran another massive paint intake that attracted over 100 painters. Come join us next year. Oh, great, man. I really needed to do that. Yeah. My bad. I had that in my calendar. I don't know what happened. I totally missed it. Next year. We'll do it next year. I'll head down to GuildCon and we'll do it next year. I think I'd reached out to them or something, but nothing came of it. So, but next year I'll head down. El Rondio says, hi Discourse, I had to miss the first 13 minutes of your live stream because my stupid phone decided to update just before the start. There you go. They're trying to shut it down. Elrond Oreo, I think. Is that Elrond Oreo? Like as in the elf of the homely house Oreo? Is that what it is? Like I'm trying to parse your name. But yeah, they're trying to shut it down. They don't like it. Kid Charlemagne, trying to get that message out to the masses. They're trying to shut it down. There you go. Yeah, Commander HSL, my laptop did the exact same thing. I'm telling you, people, it's happening. They're trying to shut me down. They're trying to prevent me from delivering the most insane, unbelievable Warhammer news ever in the history of, I was going to say mankind, but I actually think it would include aliens. So, history of the universe, really, I think. Yeah, okay, so... Actually, I never checked. Let me. I'm gonna be really self-indulgent here. I'm gonna open up my own YouTube channel, my own live stream. So you might hear me for a second. Double check. Do I have? I don't. I really need to. Let's do it. Let's do it. Here we are. I'm doing it, guys. I'm Can I? Yep, there we are. Can I do this? Can I send a link to my own thing in my own chat? Is that possible? You think I would get the... it would be possible for me. Can I pin message? There we are. So you can pick up Little Big War if you're interested in it. You can pick it up at the Wargame Vault link there in the chat. Thank you to everybody who's checked it out so far. It was real labor of love. It was really tons of playtesting, and it was a ton of fun making. And it's really easy to play. You just need a couple of D6s. You need some minis. 25mm base size is every single unit is on the same base, and then you just kit bash some buildings that are like 5 centimeters long. You can play it on your smallest coffee table. There's 2 unique factions. One of them's kind of more military based. The other one's like arcane and wizards and stuff and monsters and aliens. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm really biased because I did make it, and I'm the head of my own marketing department. So there you go. I should do like a FOMO thing. I should have made like a limited edition game box version of it, where if you bought it, you would get like a golden building or something. I should have done that. I should have learned all the evil shit from Games Workshop. God damn. Commander yourself, don't forget to think about the Roman Empire today, and like the stream, everyone. Yes, indeed. We're always thinking about the Roman Empire. No, look, can we mix it up? Can we think about the Egyptians, or the Persian Empire? Can we think about the Persian Empire? Can we do the Persian Empire today, please? Work for me, purchase. Thank you very much, Confused6. I really appreciate that. Spellfire says, now that's really, really big. You won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big this news is. Okay, right, we're gonna get into it. I've teased long enough. We're gonna get into it. I'm just kind of trying to wake up from the brain fog, to be honest. The sake is still playing on me a little. That video link on that page ain't playing. Wonder if it's an iPhone thing or a Wargame Vault thing. I'm gonna be real. If anyone from Wargame Vault is listening to me right now, guys, please, you need to update your website. Oh my god. It's so buggy for me. Like, I constantly struggle, like, with display, and I can't get the text to format right. It's so awkward at times to work with. It feels very old school, but not in the cool, hip way. Like, oh yeah, that's old school. Like, in a sort of, the internet basic functionality is not working. There's also there is a Patreon link as well. If you go to my Patreon, the very first like pinned post will also be a way to buy. You can buy it on Patreon as well. So if you go to my shop on Patreon, you'll see the War Game Vault there. You'll see the Little Big War game there, and there should also be a link to the video that you can click, and it'll be like, what is Little Big War? Where I go into more detail and I do all the flashy stuff, you know. They use Drive-Thru Checkout because it's the same company. Drive-Thru RPG and Wargame Vault, it's all one kind of ecosystem. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Warhammer, guys, because I don't think enough people are talking about Warhammer. I mean, like, you know, obviously, I'd love to sit and chat to you about Silver Bayonet and Carnivale, Little Big War, but these massive juggernauts in the hobby, they suck all the air out of the room. We need to talk about some Warhammer. Okay, we need to talk about some Warhammer. So, there's been some crazy news. Really crazy news. You're not going to believe how crazy this news is. So, Games Workshop make a lot of decisions with Warhammer. But one of the things that they get, I think, the most criticism about, and something they've rectified today, is that when Games Workshop are putting out miniatures and designing new models and trying to sell products to, you know, hobbyists, trying to get war gamers to buying some minis for Warhammer, the thing that people are always saying, I hear this all the time, people are always saying, there just isn't enough Space Marines. Specifically, Ultramarines. Did you ever notice that? Like, we never get any Space Marines or Ultramarine models to buy. And Games Workshop have said, we hear you. We hear you. It's an outrage. Don't worry. We got you, though. Yeah, they're gonna make a lot more Ultramarines, a lot more Space Marines. It's coming. They fixed it. They fixed the problem. They fixed the problem. This week, they did the World Championships of Warhammer, and they did a big, massive preview. Oh, yeah. That's right. They're gonna fix it. It's happening. There has been a ton of Warhammer news, and it's all about the Ultramarines. Some would call them Games Workshop's Forgotten Sons. Games Workshop's Forgotten Sons. So we're gonna talk about it, because there's actually, okay, so taking off my haha funny hat and putting on my haha slightly less funny hat, a little bit more serious, the why so serious hat. It's got a little Joker face on it. There is something really interesting here, actually. You know, because I love the raggle of the idea that they're just doing more Ultramarines, but there's something interesting going on here. So first of all, we're gonna watch the little video. We're gonna watch the little video because I haven't seen it, so I have not super caught up. So we're gonna catch up to it together. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on things, and we're gonna talk about it because there's something really interesting happening here. I'm gonna drop a little. I gotta drop a little bomb here. Gonna drop it in. I kind of dig this. Now I know this sounds crazy. So yes, Games Workshop are announced new Ultramarine models, an entire narrative arc focused on the Ultramarines. But I kind of like it. So yeah, we're gonna check this out. We're gonna watch it.
The Primarch Reborn demands the impossible.
Okay, how's this sounding? Is this audio okay? Thank you very much for buying Little Big War Spellfire. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I await your presence, my lord. He commands us to reconquer the 500 worlds of Ultramar.
The 500 worlds of Ultramar.
In the 10,000 years between his death and rebirth, How many worlds have been scoured by the archenemy? Devoured by the monsters of the hive mind.
Pretty good CGI.
Sacrificed on the altar of Exterminatus. He is a demigod out of time. Fighting for a golden age that can never dawn again.
Welcome home. Rise, Demetria Titus.
It's Titus.
Master of the Watch. Captain of the Second Company. Warden of Ultramar.
Warden of Ultramar.
The Primarch reborn demands the impossible. But only in death does duty end.
Pretty cool set design, I will say that much. So yeah, we've got a new miniature, a new Ultramarine miniature for Titus, which is good because the previous one, kinda lame. But we got a ton more stuff. We got mortals. We got normal, regular humans is in a Space Marine army. We got regimental advisors. Do you remember the regimental advisor models for Imperial Guard? They're coming to Space Marines. They were removed from the Guard, they go to Space Marines. This is all part of the 500 Worlds arc. So, there's a new book. Oh, wait, Captain Titus and the Wardens of Ultramar are all one box. Oh, I don't like that. What? Every time. I can't just be happy with things, can I? I can never just be happy. It's there. They always do something. Carefully threading the needle of Romanish salute without being actual mustache man, says Greg Smash. So this is interesting, I think. I kind of like this. There is a ton of new models coming out for Ultramarines, and it's, you know, there's a lot of other factions I think could have maybe used a little bit of a passover, a little bit of a do, you know, like just a little bit of an upgrade, right? But it's the Ultramarines. They have been eating so hard, and now we get a little bit of something. Sit down, Eldar, right? Sit down. This is what we get. And it's a pretty cool model. I actually quite like it. So the previous Titus model looked really bad, in my opinion. I did not like it at all. So there was already a Titus model. This guy is the protagonist of the Space Marine video game. And then the Space Marine video game sold 7 million copies. And so now he's the protagonist of Warhammer. And so he is going to be in charge of the Warhammer now. He is now the protagonist because turns out massive audience of people played the video game, and Games Workshop are not going to let up a licensing opportunity pass them by. So now he's been incorporated into lore. I don't mind Titus. He's an exceptionally dull character. He's like a man fist. You know, he just you're like, what's this guy's deal? That's his thing. He just is, okay? He's a protagonist character. He just is silent and does his duty and kills anything. Every single time something comes in front of him, he kills it with his, like, hammer or his sword or his gun, depending on what your loadout was in the game. So he's not really, like, he doesn't have, like, a ton of interesting personality to him, but that's fine. He's a Space Marine. I mean, he kind of goes with the territory. So he's now the Warden of Ultramar, and it seems like the lore-wise, it's kind of like this. The Ultramarines are trying to retake all the 500 planets that belong to the Ultramar kind of empire that exists internally within the Imperium. And it seems like the Necrons are the guys that they're going to fight. So, there's a couple of things going on here. You've got the business model of this thing, you've got the lore that's happening, how they're selling it, and you got the models. I like the models, actually. For Ultramarines, I think they're pretty cool. I really like these regimental advisors. The first thing I thought when I saw these was like, holy shit, these are the regimental advisors. They're mortal men in a Space Marine army. And actually, I think that's cool. I think that the Space Marines as a faction could get a lot more diverse by having miniatures of people. Like, I've never understood why Space Marines are driving the Predator tanks and the Rhinos. Like, they should be driven by like servants, by dudes, you know? There should be like an entire like force of infantry underneath Space Marines. For these, what you would call like wider campaigns, where the Space Marines have to actually occupy an area and put boots on the ground. There's like, what, like 1,000 people in a Space Marine chapter? Like, that's not enough people to occupy a small Irish village. You know what I mean? Like, you need more people than that. And they can do more people than that by just, they can still keep Space Marines be exceptionally small and very minute in terms of numbers and give them like a bigger army. So that's kind of cool. I also think that Ultramar should have been a faction. And I know that sounds crazy because I'm always complaining. I'm always whining about Space Marines. Oh, well, Space Marines. You know, that's always me. So why do I want an Ultramar army? Because I think that Ultramar, they should have done this when Guilliman resurrected. This to me is like a manifestation of what should have happened like 10 years ago. When Guilliman resurrected, the Space Marines should have become a distinct faction from the Imperium. Because I think that Guilliman should have been, it should have been heresy that he resurrected. I don't think that he should have easily just walked into the job of being the new emperor. Like, I think that was kind of horrible, and it made the Primarchs this big focal narrative point. And I get that people want that for the books, but for me personally, in the miniatures and stuff, like, it just kind of felt like the game was taken away from your dudes. So I would have loved it for that all to have been siloed into its own little faction. So for people who want to do all that, cool, here you go, you can do that over here. For most people, you just play with your Imperium of Man stuff that you create your own characters for, and it's all good. So I think that this all being siloed off is kind of neat. I think that the Ultramar does actually, if anything, can just be its own little faction, and I hope that we see a kind of a, I don't think you're going to do this, but I would have loved to have seen like a split in the Imperium where Ultramar becomes its own distinct entity, and that's kind of a heresy. It's kind of a heresy. Frankenstein says, I always read Titus as the Imperial propaganda vision of a Space Marine, like a Captain America type. I mean, he kind of is, but he's a video game protagonist, so he's just going to do the correct thing all the time. Kill, death, kill is his personality. He's a Space Marine. that's their vibe. Jonathan of Anston says, if you read the Ultramarine novels, why would you? Titus is mostly just a Cliff Notes Uriel Ventress, and he's the second company captain, so he has gold trim instead of green. That's important. Okay, fair enough. I know the name Uriel Ventress, but I know nothing more than that. He doesn't exist in the universe, more of a fiction within the fiction. Well, he does exist now. He's the warden. So auxiliary advisors for other Space Marine armies when, says Commander HTSL. So this is the thing, right? This is like the really funny thing with Space Marines. Because now they're all the different chapters are all their own little things. What that means is that, like, when Ultramarines, right? Because it's the Ultramarines, when the Space Marines get a release like this, in theory, if in a better world, I think, this wouldn't have been kind of Ultramarine specific. This would have been Space Marine regimental advisors, you know? So, like, take all the experts from the Imperium, and you've got all these experts, and you could just customize them as you want. But that's not, like, everything is so distinct now. Like, you see all these releases for, like, people will look at this and they'll go, where's all the Raven Guard stuff? And the answer is, dude, I don't know. Like, the Raven Guard stuff is all of this. Just paint it different. Like, can't you just paint these different? Because they're all the same kind of models, right? I guess, like, the trim on the flag, I guess these are very specifically Ultramarine, I guess. I just kind of wish they were more genericized. And again, that's kind of a problem I have with the broader march of Warhammer being so specific to dudes, like named characters. Everything is a named character, right? These are like a hero unit, I guess, as opposed to just a generic squad, which sort of sucks. I just feel like regimental advisors should be a bit more generic-y, right? Like, because you should be able to name them yourselves. And then, obviously, you're fighting Necrons. So, if you do not collect Necrons or specifically Ultramarine Space Marines, I'm afraid to say the next 6 months are going to be very boring for you in terms of releases. They're probably going to... So, this is going to be a book where they're probably going to genericize the names. They're going to be like... So the lore is going to be, there the Space Marines attacked the Necron planet. And then in the actual book for the scenarios, when they do all because they do these like lore books, but they do scenarios in them, which you can play on the table, they're going to be like, player 1 is attacker, player 2 is defender. right? They're going to genericize the names in that sense. But it's going to be like, and player 1 wants to recover the Ultramarine banner. And player 2 wants to turn on the pylons that waken up all the other Necrons, you know? And you're like, okay, well, I don't know why the fuck my Tyranids are doing this, but I guess I'll have to try and work it out. Yeah, it becomes so specific, it's kind of tough. Funnily, the game Carnivale actually does do this as well. Like I was saying, I've been playing a bunch of Carnivale. Carnivale does do this as well, where they'll have literally, like, here is the mission where the patrician faction are fighting the guild, right? Or the doctors are fighting the Strigoi. But they have, like, in their core book, 7 campaigns, and each one of them is about one faction. So in one of the campaigns, say it's the patrician campaign, there will be one player who's always playing as the patricians. The other player is playing as the antagonist, and it's kind of genericized so that any enemy faction could be fighting them. But you're playing the patrician campaign, so you're always playing as the patricians. And I kind of feel like, actually, that might have been a better direction for this stuff to go on. Instead of picking 2 specific factions, maybe have one. But then, I guess with Carnivale, there's like 6 factions. With Warhammer 40k, there's 312 factions. So it makes it quite a bit harder to release a book that has scenarios for every single faction. But on the other hand, I mean, for the price of these books, maybe it's not ridiculous to have a Votann campaign, a Tau campaign, and a Necron campaign, a Tyranid campaign, right? Like, it would be like 13 different campaigns, each one with like 5 or 6 scenarios. Like, would that be crazy? Like, would that actually be crazy? Hell, why not just release them for free digitally? Huh? Because, I mean, when people play the game, that makes you money, right? Because they're going to buy models and stuff. So maybe it would just be easier and better to release all this for free. Because when people play the scenarios, like, I think the free scenarios would be a really clever thing for Games Workshop to do if they want the narrative play to really come back in a big way. And it's weird because they're kind of putting all this focus into this narrative of like the 500 worlds. And you're like, well, how do I play this? And they're like, in competitive games of Warhammer with L-shaped terrain made out of clear plastic translucent MDF. You're like, okay. So the whole thing is Necrons versus Space Marines. This is the new Necron model. It looks fine. Just kind of looks like a new Necron model. I like his big arm. I like his big hand. Somebody who likes to jack off a lot, basically, with the one hand. I can't think of any other cleverer way to say that. You know, they have one big massive arm. This is the new... So I think there are new bundle boxes coming as part of this thing as well that will sell out immediately. So I hope they're not FOMO. I think this is a box. God, I mean, I look at that. I can't even tell you what the price point will be. I mean, in a perfect world, it would be £30, but we don't live in that world anymore. So this box here, I think will probably be like £120 or something, which I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't know if they're going to be cheaper than the combat patrols. I really am starting to lose any sense of reasonable value with Warhammer now. I also, by the way, I kind of hate this Warhammer community website redo because now every single time, like this Warhammer community thing stays big no matter how much I zoom in. So yeah, I kind of hate that. Okay, we got the new Catan. This is the one that got leaked. So we saw this ages ago. This got leaked. So this isn't new, really. It's a cool enough model. Very, very Age of Sigmar coded. Hello, ahoy there, Spirits Machinery. Very, very Age of Sigmar coded. I suspect that they got one of the Age of Sigmar guys and were like, can you make a cool model for us? And they were like, okay. Because it is a cool model. It's a pretty cool model. There's a lot going on. Always felt like they should have... The Catan, you know, they should be a big presence on the board because they are gods. At least they were. I don't know if they still are. I know more about the old Necron lore than I do about the new Necron lore. I haven't bought like a recent Necron Codex is the thing. The only Necron like text fluff that I own is a 4th edition or 5th edition Necron Codex, which I do read again. I go back to it every so often. Especially when I'm playing like 5th edition Warhammer 40k, which I do relatively often, actually. I play quite a bit. I've been playing a lot more 5th edition Warhammer than 10th edition at this stage, I think, over the last like year. 500 Worlds, Titus. So, okay, so we're going to have a major narrative expansion for Warhammer. It's going to be a series of 4 books enclosed in a decorative slipcase. It tells the story of the Ultramarian Reclamation and the embattled Vespatar front, where Titus and the Ultramarine 2nd Company are locked in a desperate struggle against a Necron force rife with the Destroyer curse. I don't really know what a lot of that means. Honestly, man, I've been playing this game for a really long time. So we've got 4. Okay, okay. I thought this was a novel. This is bad. Okay, so this is a. We have 1 book, I think, which is all the lore and the fluff. 1 book, which I think are boarding action scenarios. 1 book, which are, because it's dread incursions. 1 book, which is just normal scenarios. And then 1 book, which is all the detachments for Ultramarines and the Necrons. So, Games Workshop were like, I tell you what, do you know the way our giant army boxes have been selling really well? What if we were to do that with our books? So they're trying to sell 4 books in 1. I really hope this is 30 or 40 pounds at most. I wonder how much money this is going to be. I don't think they've mentioned price points. Yeah, so there's a complete campaign system. Now, I will say this much to Games Workshop's credit. The campaign system for Age of Sigmar was pretty fun. I really enjoyed... Let me try to peek past... No, I can't find it. I had the Age of Sigmar, the Emberstone campaign, which I thought was pretty fun. That was pretty cool. And I quite enjoyed that. But I don't know. I didn't really like the Warhammer 40k ones. George Atkins says, my guess is £70. They did it for the boarding action box sets. Oh no, that's too much. That's way too much. What the heck? Great Palmer says, I just wish it was orcs instead of Skynet bots. Maybe they're saving that for next year's 11E 40k. Maybe. I think this kind of sucks in... It should not, like... It's too focused, right? Older narrative campaigns used to have quite a wide scope. They used to be like the 13th Black Crusade. So every single Imperial faction was involved. All of Chaos were involved. And then, honestly, even the Xenos back then were kind of screwed. It was like, who gives a fuck? But there was like a little bit of involvement with the Xenos. They were a little bit involved. They were like the pirate faction or whatever. I just wish that you have this massive sandbox. Why not just... Like, even whenever they do that now, right? Even when they go, there's this massive thing that's happening that's going to affect the entire galaxy. And you're like, oh my god, well, who are fighting as part of this? And they're like, Space Marines and Tyranids. But doesn't this involve the entire galaxy? Yeah, but it's just the Tyranid invasion of the Imperium that we're writing about and we care about. Like, okay, well, whatever. I guess this is the problem that I always have, you know? Like, how much crying would there be if there was like a big, massive narrative expansion and it was literally the Tau fighting Gene Stealer cultists? Like, how much would people just... They just would not enjoy it. They'd be like, what the heck? Like, because think about it, like, if that was the... Like, people would really, I think, be very upset at that, in general. They think it's crazy. They'd be like, it's really unfair. You know, how come, like, I'm playing Space Marines, like, how come my Space Marines aren't involved in this, you know? And I'd be over here being like, dude, I got Gene Stealer Cult Army. I'm fine with this. This works out for me. This is cool. I'm hooked into the narrative. I get to decide what happens in the next big narrative expansion with my games. So, yeah, I think that it's too focused. I think that the Ultramarines having their own faction is kind of interesting. Like, I think that the 500 Worlds campaign should have just been Ultramar, the faction comes out, and they're distinct from the Imperium, being led by Guilliman. That should have been the way it should have been done. I like some of the models. I think those are kind of neat, but I think the narrative campaign, the scope is just too limited. Pink McCarty says, hello. Hello, Pink McCarty. How's it going? So this would be like €40 per book, 100 for the set pass. I really hope not. People are saying £70, roughly speaking, because that's how much the boarding action books apparently were when bundled together. So I just think that's crazy. I really do think that's truly crazy. But that wasn't the only thing that was revealed. There was some other stuff too that we're going to get into. Maybe Something Sunday says, will these be sold separately? I imagine you might have to get the whole case. You have to buy the whole case, I think. Now, the detachments will be free, which is cool. And I think that there's going to be a video on the channel today or tomorrow covering this. But I think the new edition of Warhammer is going to go fully into digital rules. And the reason for this is because Trench Crusade exists. And Conflict 47. And these games have kind of sprung up and they're really big. And I think that they're actually becoming, like, when I say this, people always, they cut and they cluck their tongues at me and they say, whatever shall we do with Discourse Minis? But I do think, okay, that Trench Crusade genuinely is, and Conflict 47, are genuine threats to Warhammer's monopoly on the wargame hobby. I really do. Especially now, right? Especially now. There's gonna be a video out on this soon. I'm not saying that Warhammer is going to be destroyed by Trench Crusade and Conflict 47, but I think that these games are offering a certain way of doing business and a certain way of selling war games and miniatures and selling a product that is very different from Games Workshop's modality of selling Warhammer. And I think that that's creating competition in the space where there was not competition before. And that competition is really good because I think it's going to force Games Workshop to change how they sell Warhammer. And one of those elements are going to be, I think digital rules are going to be the new edition. And I don't think that we would have gotten such a focus on digital rules if it hadn't have been for these kind of these other war games that have burst onto the market and have actually taken up massive, like I think they're beginning to grab a big audience, specifically from the same demographic of people who play Warhammer. I think that's super dangerous for Games Workshop, and I think that to some extent they are aware of that. I'm not sure how much they are actually threatened by it, but I think they are aware of that for sure. I think they'd be really stupid not to actually consider Trench Crusade and Conflict 47 as potential competitors in the future for Warhammer 40k. Another Sunday with Discourse, says Stephen. Hello there, Stephen. How's it going? John, we're going to call you 1847. Says, in the Codex Eye of Terror, Yothway got a list at least. I remember that. I haven't. In fact, I ran an army. So in the Eye of Terror Codex, there was like 4 forces, I believe. There was like a Space Marine one, there was an Imperial Guard one, there was a Chaos one, and there was an Ultway list. And I ran the Chaos list, actually, the Lost and the Damned. So I had a bunch of mutants and a bunch of heretic soldiers, legionnaires and stuff. So these were like mortal. It was like a mortal chaos unit list. And it was fucking awesome. It was really cool. I used to run that like as an auxiliary to my Chaos Space Marine force. My Alpha Legion squad. The thing about campaigns is that you can only do it once. Not everyone will have the same conclusion, says Commander. Well, to be honest, I'm yet to find... Games Workshop have really not done very good narrative games, I think, like campaigns this edition. I think Age of Sigmar has. I think Age of Sigmar has the Amberstone campaign for Age of Sigmar was pretty cool. There were some problems with it, but it was genuinely a good book. I enjoyed it. I've played a campaign of it. It was set in the old world, but I did play a campaign of the Amberstone campaign, and it was good. The Warhammer 40k narrative stuff, I think, has been pretty poor. It's been too much, right? They're trying to add too many systems onto Warhammer. Warhammer does not need more systems. What you want from a campaign, right, from a narrative campaign, is not to have all these like little dials and doohickeys to turn and all these like massive, like huge lists of different like stratagems and things. What you really want from a narrative campaign is to feel like your actions, the decisions that you make on the table when you're playing a game, matter to some broader context in some way. And not because you're gonna get +1 to your initiative roll in the next game, right? Like, you want it to matter in a narrative sense. You want it to feel impactful. So one of the things I liked about the Amberstone campaign was that you had to collect Amberstone on the map. So it doesn't matter what else is going on. You play a scenario for Amberstone, but also there was these little deposits of Amberstone all along the map, and you were trying to grab those, and they would last. Like, so they would attach to units, and they would be your currency for the campaign. That felt impactful. But also, we had to overlay on that one, right? Because I didn't like the narrative framing of the Amberstone campaign, which was basically, these guys are all invading the Fire Realm. I didn't really care for that. I don't care about that at all, like Fire Realm or whatever. But we set ours in the Warhammer Fantasy setting. And I was playing the Empire. I had an opponent who was playing the Vampire accounts, right? We were using our Age of Sigmar rules, but we were using our old fantasy models. And we were kind of like proxying them across to this other like game, basically. So I was playing like the Empire using the Cities of Sigmar rule set. And I was trying to reclaim Sylvania. I was trying to recapture the Templehof, like castle, the castle Templehof. So, is it Templehof? I can't remember the capital in Sylvania. It was like last year we played this. So, That was a ton of fun because it felt like whenever I won battles, we moved across the map. So the the battles changed, you know, like I got closer and closer to the city. And so that was really cool. But I don't care for these. It just feels like they're really trying to mechanize narrative campaigns in a way that just feels awkward and cumbersome and like too much. Trench Crusade is no threat to GW. GW has the popular vote, the IP, the saturation. Says the Jedi, the GDI. JDI. Well, okay, so I think we need to quantify that a little. I think that no wargame company is a threat to Games Workshop in the sense that Games Workshop, the money that they make, is so unbelievably, like, beyond anything that any company makes. Like, God, what was it? I think they made like I know they made $53 million in licensing, and that was a tiny portion. I think they made $500 million or £500 million in last year, I think is how much they made. So no company, like no one's getting close to that. Like that's not happening. Like no one's getting close to that. However, when the Trench Crusade plastic miniatures go out, they will be competing for shelf space at local game stores, and they're going to be building a community. And having alternative games to play that is not Warhammer is a massive threat to Games Workshop, because Games Workshop's business practices rely on having a monopoly on the wargame space. That's how they charge the prices that they do. This is how they get away with their FOMO, right? You hear so much complaints every single day. There will be complaints about Warhammer. Not always from me. Sometimes other people will make the criticisms too, okay? People will complain all the time about Warhammer. Nothing changes because there's no actual competition. There's nowhere else to go. You can go to like Battletech, but Battletech's a very different type of game. Trench Crusade, however, is a bleak, grimdark, sci-fi miniatures game that occupies a very similar space to Warhammer Warhammer. It really does. It's very gothic, you know. Obviously, they're a bit different, right? One of them is a skirmish war game where you only need like 10 models. One of them is army-sized and bigger. One of them is kind of World War I-esque. The other one is like sci-fi and Dune-inspired, right? They're very different. But I think that it's good to have this competition. It's good to have a Sega, even if Sony exists in the console space, you know, even if there's a PlayStation, I still want there to be a Sega here. Now, I agree, like, I think that the market is super saturated from Warhammer, but we need more companies like this. So I think a combination of Trench Crusade, Convict 47, all these different games that are coming out that are occupying similar thematic elements of Warhammer are really important. Yes, competition is exactly what GW needs. Make a bet again on digital rules, says Pixie Art. You'd have to buy a toy army this time. Oh no. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more bets. For those who don't know, I once bet that the new edition, like at the time, new edition, so the 10th edition of Warhammer 40k was going to be announced at some event, and I bet that I would do so. If I got it wrong, I'd make an entire Space Marine army. I'd build and paint them. And I was wrong, and so I built and painted an entire Space Marine army. I made a video about it, and I'm tempted to never ever do another bet ever again as a result of that. Great Piper says, my latest diorama builds still use Warhammer minis, but they're not based on the Trench Crusade universe. I feel like there's a lot of overlap between the two settings, especially, actually, yeah. So let's look at, I think Necromunda had some new stuff, right? What's going on here? Why is there Nurgle stuff? I thought shouldn't they just get rid of Nurgle? Why is there more Nurgle stuff? Why are people obsessed with Nurgle stuff? Oh, well, hold on now. There's some more Warhammer 40k models, so let's have a little look at these. We got Stormbrew. All right, we got a big old tough guy. Wait, so he's not a generic model? He's a named character? Okay, Barrack Stormbrew. Stormbry. I told you, I'm very ill. The Twin Lance, before his succession of the Thai Empire, Commander Farsight was held up as the example of the Montcalm philosophy. The undisputed master of the killing blow. 9 new warriors have taken up that mantle, and in several pair of veteran pilots known as the Twin Lance. Okay, so 2 more battle suits. The paint scheme's kind of cool, but that's like the most notable element of them. They're just 2 more battle suits. Like, okay, that looks okay. I like the drones having the little having the little ties, like they've got little business ties on. So it looks like they're off to their office job. I think that's kind of fun. But I feel like the tie suits are these are just battle suits again. Okay. Cool idea, but execution-wise, I think a little bit lacking. The paint scheme is nice, though. I do like the paint scheme. I like the little bit of cloth on them. A Tyranid Prime with a Lash Whip. Tyranid swarms rely on leader organisms of all shapes and sizes to relay the will of the hive mind to their multitudinous masses, with Tyranid Primes numbering among the most nimble and compact encountered by Imperial forces. While winged variants have become increasingly common, many fight in the thick of the melee among units of Tyranid warriors direct their hordes from a more ground-level perspective. What is this? Is this just a Tyranid? Oh, man. This is just a Tyranid. Wait, what is this? So is this just like another character model for the Tyranids? Why? Wait, couldn't you... This is a big problem I have with Warhammer, okay? What is this? Like, it's just a guy with a whip. That's it. He doesn't even have a sword. Just a whip. And some claws. Is he whipping? So do they whip other It says that they keep the order in the masses, the will of the hive mind. So do they whip like Space Marines, or are they whipping other Tyranids? Okay. Well, I don't think this is good. I think okay. What's frustrating here is that this feels like an extremely generic model, which is okay, but it should have tons of customization. Does this have customization? It's dueling with enemy heroes and so are augmented with wickedly barbed tendrils known as lash whips. Okay, so these are for fighting Space Marines. They're not for like whipping other Tyranids and being like, follow orders, you grunts, because that would make no sense at all. That would be very Sauron and Mordor. But this, like, I feel like this could just be... This feels like it should be in a box of 10. You know what I mean? Like, this should be like a sergeant model. I don't get it. Like, there's nothing really that impressive about this. I feel like you could make this out of existing parts. Battletech, that's the one with all the lore, isn't it? Says Commander. Battletech is the mech game. It's for the mechs. Nids had whips for generations, but says Spurious Machinery. Okay. I just don't feel like this does anything for me at all. In fact, neither of these do. I like this guy kind of. I think he's kind of neat, but I think that's because I'm not used to the Votan aesthetic. I think he's just a Berserker guy. So, not super impressed by those, sadly. It feels like the Space Marine Captain treatment, where it's just like another Space Marine. Instead of just being one kit, which is the Tyranid Prime, and you can customize it, so there's wings in the kit, there are a whip in the kit, there's a gun in the kit, there's like swords in the kit, there's like claws in the kit, and then you have the kit, and then you can make whatever type of Tyranid Prime you want to make out of that one kit. Instead of having to be like, I bought the one with wings, and then I bought the one with a whip. And they're like two distinct poses, but they're always looking like that. I don't know. Not for me. Not for me. Yes, we did. We did get some Necromunda. We did get some Necromunda stuff. Okay. So this is pretty badass. Not gonna lie, I did see this. I think this looks awesome. This looks really cool. So this guy, when I first saw this, I was like, wait, is this a robot? Is this a robot in Necromunda? But no, this is a dude. There is a guy behind this mask, apparently. George says, looks like they took the wings off that figure that came in Leviathan. That's exactly what they did. That's the Tyranid Prime. That is the Tyranid Prime. This is the same... The pose on this little baby cherubim thing is the exact same pose. I've got this model, but it's a little cherubim. It's got angel wings, and it's holding a fuel. So it's just kind of weird. It's like they've done the same model again, but just changed it up. However, this is pretty cool. I like this guy. I think he's pretty neat. I have no idea about the lore behind him, but I think he's like a robot guy. Like, I think he's mostly robot, but also a dude. After rising from a tomb deep in the vaults of Temenos, Ozotium Aranthus has seized the mantle of ruler of Necromunda. Wait, he rules Necromunda? What the fuck is going on over there? Isn't Necromunda about to be the game? Isn't that meant to be the game where you play like a small-time gang? You start off with sticks and you hit each other with sticks, and then maybe you'll get a lasgun. You'll feel like really big. Why do we have models about the ruler of Necromunda? Like, when's he showing up in Necromunda? I don't get that. The model is cool though. Whoa! Look at his face! Holy shit! Oh my god, this feels like a not safe for work tags needed here. Oh, Jesus. And not because it's sexy, you guys. Because it's gruesome and horrifying, obviously. Nice smile. That's kind of neat. So this guy, you can do him, I guess, without the mask. This incredible new plastic miniature. Oh, he's plastic. That's cool. So he's also TM in all his gilded glory, but underneath the mask, he's starting to show his age. I like that. That's cool. That's cool. That's like, you know, what you show in your Tinder pic versus when you show up. You show up to the date at the bar. Very nice. I do like that. That's pretty cool. That's a cool model. I do like that. And then we also get the Palanite Justicars. Ooh. Oh. Oh my goodness. Guys, they are firing on all cylinders today. This looks sick. Okay, this is awesome. Wow. Okay, so we got these guys. This guy, what's up with this helmet? He's got like a bongo drum for a helmet. That's pretty neat. And he's also got like his skull has a wig. I like that. That's pretty cool. I like this Executioner. That's really cool. Check out these guys. These guys rock. They got like a man catcher. What the fuck? And a shotgun. These are neat. Okay, I really dig these. Is this all? Is there just 5 of them? That's sad. But that's really cool. Caution, the armor may make you immortal, but not from age. I wouldn't do him without the mask. Yeah, I think I'd probably do it with the mask as well, but I do dig the fact. I like the idea that you can have him without the mask, and he looks like all fucked up and stuff. These are really cool. These are really impressive models. These look really awesome. The detailing on them is really cool. I really dig the, what do you call those? Like the shoulder cloaks, you know, the black coat. Yeah, those are neat. The Palanite Forcers. 3 bailiffs. Okay, so there's bailiffs. Nice. Okay, cool. We got Ironhead Squat Chartermasters. So it's interesting that they're still doing squats in Necromunda. You know, they're just ignoring the Votan stuff. They look cool. They look fine. They look like dwarfs. If you're into dwarfs. I like his little pipe. You see, he's got a little pipe here. That's pretty neat. He's got a little pipe. She got like a battle axe. That's a very space... Like, that's a very space dwarf vibe, right? Like, these are space dwarfs. It's pretty cool. And then we got these guys. Let's see. These little guys here. He's got a little suit on. And his little drones. They look so dumpy. I love them. They're actually really cool. They look like they walk around like that. They look really, what's the opposite of the word agile? They look really dumpy. It's very fun. I really like, I dig it. I dig it. Now, these are some models that are going to get converted for use in other game systems, says Spurious. So, I guess they're doing another book for Necromunda, which is obviously what Necromunda needed. It needed another book. I guess Necromunda must just have, like, a dedicated community of people who are just picking up these books every single time. Yeah, the models look cool. I dig those models. Necromunda consistently is more Warhammer 40k than Warhammer 40k. Absolutely knocking it out of the park. That fucking rocks. Very cool. Space Hobbits. Yes. Okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna look at the horrible Nurgle models. All right, let's. So this is the new Warhammer Quest, the new Cursed City. Ooh. Like that model. Ooh, that's cool. Cooperative adventure. Interesting. So they're using a book instead of actual, like, board. I think they're using a book for the maps. I like that they're not spiral bound books, but they're gonna break. They're gonna break very quickly. So this is pretty cool. Warhammer Quest is... I gotta be real. I don't have, like... I tried to play Cursed City, and the gameplay was kind of bad. So I hope that they are enhancing the gameplay, that they are fixing it. Because Warhammer Quest Cursed City was only fun because of fan mods, essentially. That there were fixes. I did not like Curse City at all from a gameplay perspective. So I hope that this book here is a bit more interesting for sure. Warhammer Quest, I think, has like a big nostalgia factor for a lot of people because it was like big in the 90s, I suspect. But I never really played it, so I don't have any nostalgia for it at all. I will say, I think these models are kind of neat. I'm not a fan of Nurgle models, so you're never going to hear me praise Nurgle stuff. I get out of here, get a bath. I'm not a fan of it. But I do like these. Edmark Vullerin, the Manticore Knight. That's pretty cool. These look very Warhammer Fantasy almost. Bryn Titus, the Renegade Saint. Her posing is a little bit awkward there. The minis aren't bad at all, in my opinion, says the GD. Yeah, I agree. Commander Hitch still says some of my girls are getting old. Metal isn't cool anymore. I still like metal. Frankenstein says, yeah, the map box has been used in the Gloomhaven edition and it works so well. I'm glad to hear that. My worry would be that the pages would start to kind of the glue on them, the binding, because some of the Warhammer books are pretty badly bound. They would come off, they come apart with repeated use. So I'd be worried about that. But if they can sit flat, and can they sit flat? Well, I'd also worry about that as well. I think they would try to spring back up. Great Piper says, I bought Blackstone and Curse City for the Sweet Minis load. I'll do the same for this. I think that's, honestly, I suspect most people buying it will probably be buying it just for the minis. I like this model. I like this one. This is pretty cool. This would be a great damsel for Bretonia. Absolutely fantastic damsel model with the little whale. I think the damsel model in Bretonia has like a goblet, so this is kind of like a replacement. You got yourself a wine jug. That's pretty cool. So she's the Cleansing Blade. These are very classic fantasy models. Like these remind me of like 80s D&D, like some Elmore art or something. Drulf Ironhead, the Grizzled Explorer. That's a dwarf. That's a dwarf. There's better dungeon crawls for sure, says Spirits Machinery. I don't know how much I like dungeon crawls. There is a game that I want to play called Torch and Shield, I think it's called, which is a war game that is a dungeon crawler where you play a bunch of dwarfs and you're trying to maintain your torchlight as you go deeper into the dungeon. That sounds pretty cool. So those are the heroes that you may have already seen, apparently. Okay. They're the four core heroes that you'll begin with, but 3 remain to be unlocked. So we've got a centaur guy, it looks like. Centaur Kelthanor, the Forest Prince. We got Dresher Vorn, the big hairy guy. Yeah, I don't know about this model. This model is weird. I don't know what's going on here. It just looks so goofy. It looks really silly. It might be the paint scheme. It looks very silly. It's not a good sign if people are really buying it for the models alone, says Commander. I think that's more of a factor that the models look great than it is that the gameplay is really bad. I think most people just don't really have a lot of people to play these kind of games with, so they're just buying them for the minis. Because it's not like this is being sold to a board game audience, it's being sold to a miniature wargaming audience. So like most of the people there want to paint the models, I think, is the kind of vibe. Although that's it, I don't think Warhammer Quest is renowned as like a particularly good game. The Jade Wizard, I love this model. This model is cool as heck. This is a pretty cool model. Very classic wizard. I really like it. I like his pose. Very stock still. I love the way his staff becomes the tendrils there in the ground. That's neat. I dig that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then we got some Nurgle guys. I'll flick through them real quick. Gross. Don't like it. Although I do kind of like his smile, but I wish it wasn't a Nurgle model. Assist Witch. Awesome. Very cool. Yes, obviously that's what we wanted. We got Mulgoth the Cleaver. There's another guy who's been spending a lot of time trying to get VPNs. Shaman Foilhoof. So that's a beast man. Wait, isn't there like an actual legendary lord character in Warhammer Fantasy that this is very reminiscent of? He just wants hugs and a beer. Oh, the Crankerborn. Do not like these. See, this like means that this box is not a buy for me. So if I liked Curse City models. I really liked all the undead in them. I do not like Nurgle stuff. I'm just not a fan of Nurgle stuff. I'm actually really over Nurgle as well. I feel like every single game that involves Warhammer lately and has Chaos has been a Nurgle one. I think the only one that hasn't been was Space Marine, which had Zinch, which felt so refreshing as a result. But every single game just has Nurgle. Just Nurgle. Pass the gores. No thanks. I collected Beastman and never built any Pestigores. You're not going to catch me out doing so now. Yeah, okay, so this is the book. Okay, interesting. That's very interesting. So they're going to use the little grids there. Okay, it's pretty cool. It's probably going to be easier. It's going to be a lot easier to set up than the tiles. Although I wonder if there's going to be a bit less capacity to kind of screw around. You know, like with the Curse City tiles, you could build maps. You could build like custom maps and stuff. So you're not going to be able to do that with this. So that's going to be kind of sad. Rogue Trader had a lot of Zinch. Okay, I never really played a ton of Rogue Trader. I'm not like the biggest fan of CRPGs. The only one I really enjoyed was Baldur's Gate 3. But that's because it made Dungeons and Dragons really fun to play. Okay, so that's Hero Quest. Interesting. That's not the one I wanted to see though. There's yes, here we go. I want to see this old world stuff because I think it's crazy that Cathay exists as a faction now, and I think they got more stuff. Spirit says, Nurgle, I think, is easy. It's safe. It's marketing safe. It's just gross. Yeah, no, it is. It's extremely safe. Like, Nurgle is a very easy faction to make. It has a very clear, distinct identity. It's disease stuff. That's all you need to do with them. I think it's very easy to make. With Zinch, it gets a little bit harder. It's like, it's a very abstract idea. Change? Wizards, I guess, is like a very firm thing. They got wizards, and they have the idea of change. Like, how do you make an army out of that? That's really hard to do. I feel like Slaanesh is a little bit easier than Zinch, but even still, kind of gets a little bit dangerous. You know, like, how do you portray these? Like, sensuous pleasure characters, right? People's first thought always goes to sex stuff. But, like, I mean, it's the indulgence, it's the gluttony as well. It's the sense of perfection in self, you know, it's the narcissism. Those are interesting, but I think that they don't resonate with people quite so much. I feel like people really love the Nurgle stuff, the really gross things, whereas Slaanesh is just really like queer-coded stuff. Because if you ever see, like, the Hedonites of Slaanesh, I think, are like one of my favorite model lines the Warhammer have ever done, and they're consistently bottom faction for play. Like, people don't want to play them. Now, partly that's because, which I don't like, they're really hard to build, and they're really hard to paint as well, which isn't as fun. But still, I feel like the Hedonites of Slaanesh demonstrate that Slaanesh could have a really cool, like, model line, that it has a really good hook, but I don't think people are particularly interested in that. And then who you got? Khorne? Khorne to me always felt like the default chaos. Like, god. To me, Khorne just feels like the most basic bitch chaos god. I want to hit stuff with my hammer. The end. Right? Which I think that it's hard to make that into something more. You know, at least Nurgle has an agenda. Nurgle has a goal, spread disease. Nurgle has big tough guys and little tiny guys. It has a very obvious hook. It's got all the disease stuff. It's really, yeah, it's very safe. Like, kids can do it as well, because no one's like, oh, it's too gross for kids, right? So yeah, Nurgle's nice and easy. All right, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
The enemy are at the wall.
I can't believe that Warhammer Fantasy is now a big thing. That's awesome. It's really cool.
Now is the time for every citizen to take up arms. The great mages of the Celestial Court stand with us. Together, we defend our homeland. This great bastion has stood for 3,000 years. It shall not fall today.
Nice. More Cathay. Ooh, peasants. Lots and lots of peasants, it looks like. Very cool. I like that model. I like the general. That's really cool. And the rifleman, nice. Very cool. Hey, that's neat. Oh, so they have the pavés. Stealing my Skaven-coded stuff, but all right, I will allow it. I love the peasants with the, God, what do you call those hats? The white-brimmed hats. They're very cool. Very neat. So fantasy Chinese models has been really weirdly lacking in the wargame space. It's really cool to see Games Workshop come out with them with these very old-school designed models. Although they're you know, they got the fidelity of newer stuff, and I think one problem with them is that I think that they're adapting a little bit of the modern Games Workshop ideology when it comes to sprues. They're making models that are very complicated to build, as opposed to the old school style ones where you would just like put an arm on and you could customize their poses and stuff. I think these are all going to be very monopose, which is very sad to me. Spurious Machinery says Zinch also gets complex to paint because it gets really complex with all the feathers and eyes and wobbly bits. That's true. I mean, Nurgle does take the like contrast paints really well. Greg Piper says they know that Nurgle minis will sell the Trench Crusade players too. Genius. Ah, there you go. So these are the new models. I really dig them. So this is the Celestial Court. I think these are like the Sorcerer Generals, Astromancers. Yeah, that's cool. They take the battle. So is this a different head? So I guess they've got optional heads. That's neat. That's cool. I like this. These are very interesting models. We just do not have enough fantasy Chinese miniatures. And we got a little crow guy. What's going on here? Who's this little guy? He's a little guy. He's got a little orb. He's a little crow dude. Reminds me of the Rick and Morty episode where he's got the three crows. The GDI says, not just fantasy Chinese. We need India, Arabic, West African, Polynesian. Plenty of inspiration out there. I totally agree. I have been begging, for the very least, for an Arabic faction, right? It feels like it's the easiest win ever. Just do Arabic. But I'd love to see, like, an Indian-inspired faction as well. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, like, I feel like the Warhammer Fantasy, genuinely, Games Workshop have the scope to just create a whole ton of different fantasy factions that are inspired by other cultures, and they can do them really great justice. And they don't have to make them lizard men or anything. They can make them normal humans like Cathay, right? And it'd be really cool. Like, it'd be really neat. Like, I love this. This is the type of fantasy I really adore, like the more grounded type of fantasy, as opposed to Age of Sigmar, which is like crazy and over the top. I think crazy and over the top looks cool in pictures, but for me to get immersed in a world, I need it to feel a bit more grounded, a little bit more low fantasy. Not that Warhammer Fantasy is particularly low fantasy, but, I mean, you look at these models, they are grounded miniatures in comparison. They're still fantastical. I mean, they're outrageous. So we got the pavés, it looks like snipers, which I feel like, come on, this is the Skaven thing. Like, let the Skaven have this thing. But okay, all right, you can have it. It's kind of, this goes a little bit to my problem with Cathay in general, though. It feels like Cathay are just like a better empire. They kind of do everything the Empire does, but better. And they have hot air balloons. Like, where's the Empire hot air balloons? Empire should have had hot air balloons. Their guns are kind of crazy. Are these going to be, they're the Iron Heel Gunners. I feel like these look a little bit more short range than the rifle. Because these aren't rifles, right? So the Empire thing should be that they have rifling. Which, by the way, would be OP as fuck compared to these. Christ GW enough monopose, says Stephen McGrath. Yeah, these look a little, so these look good though. I like these. Looks like the repeated models, very easy posing, very simple posing, which is fine for a rifle flank. Yeah, there should be way more women Cathay models. I agree. I agree. Like, if you ever watch, I'd love to see a model inspired by the protagonist of the Green Dragon Inn. A lot of the Wushu movies and stuff, they all have female protagonists in them. Very, very big in kind of Hong Kong cinema. And that would be really cool. I'd love to see some more inspiration being taken from like the Wushu elements. I'm a big fan of Wushu movies. Okay. Ooh, the posing on these is a little bit weird. Look at this guy. This guy, hold up. Because I think these peasant levies, what's up with their arms? Their arms feel very wide out. They remind me of like really old school models. What's with their arms? I think these are separate. I think these are separate arm and just body, right? Like, I want to see the sprue for these. The spears look a little bit less awkward, but these look very wide or something. I know the Empire had tanks, but come on. Olaf says the Chinese invented gunpowder. Let's let them have the good guns. But they got really good magic, and they got dragons, and now they got hordes, and they got elites. Like, come on, the Empire have to have something. Like, the Empire's whole thing was faith, guns, and steel, you know? And that Cathay is like, yeah, and dragons. They get 4 things. How come? So I dig the spearman. I think that I love the banner. The banner rocks, like the paper dragon. That's really fucking cool. That's really cool. Okay. You get some applause, Games Workshop, for that one. Very nice. Very nice. These fucking rock. These are really cool. I really dig them. Really cool to see peasants. Very nice to see peasants. I think they they should make up the bulk of the army, you know? It's kind of one of those crazy things, because this is fantasy China, right? Whenever you look at, like, historical battles in China, and you look at the numbers of people who die and casualty numbers, it's always, like, crazy. It's like, oh, yeah, there was a small skirmish between two rival villages, two warlords fought each other, and the casualty numbers were 13 million. You're like, what the fuck? You know? That's crazy. It took us to, like, World War I to match a small skirmish in China. So I feel like there should be a ton, like, if you were gonna have like a horde army where you got tons of bodies and infantry, I think Cathay is one that would be really cool to have that. And that's actually, that would feel distinct from the Empire, you know? Although it's kind of weird, because the Empire is meant to be like very professional forces, but then their models in 8th edition, I think it was, all came with like no shoes, and they looked like raggedy peasants as opposed to kind of more regimented infantry. So that still feels a little bit weird to me. Once it was pointed out, I couldn't get over it. I was like, oh yeah. They need a female assassins model, that's for sure. I don't know, I haven't really checked out the Cathay range. My problem is that the people I play a lot of war games with, they don't really like rank and flank games. So I never really get to play rank and flank games. Even if I've got like a full Empire army, but I never really get to use it. Like I said, I've played more Age of Sigmar games with my Empire army than I have the old world games. I don't mind rank and flanks, but it's not like, it's certainly not my favorite style of war game. But this looks cool, man. Like these are neat. I dig these. They had bureaucracy and logistics worked out to a far greater degree, says Spurious Machinery. Fair enough. There you go. Yeah, so those are pretty neat. I really dig their balloons. I feel like the old world is just rocking. I'm really happy to see Warhammer Fantasy just back in a really big way. I think 5 years ago, if you had said like we'd even get Cathay, I would have been a bit, I don't know. But it's really neat to see. It's really neat to see. And I think that's most of it. That's not Horse Heresy. I honestly, I'm not going to, I don't really care that much about Horse Heresy. Although I'm a little bit interested in the Scutari, the Adeptus Mechanicus, because if there was a faction that I would play in the Horse Heresy, I think it would be Adeptus Mechanicus. So what are the new models like for these guys? I quite like the robot dudes, and they're kind of like the stilt guys from the 40k one, but not as funny. So they're not as good. I don't know. I'm not like super into them. Yeah, these look okay. I like the way how screwed up they are. Their heads, these are nice. Yeah, that's cool. They're okay, you know. I like the robots. I like this sort of stuff for the Adeptus Mechanicus. They got that weird body horror thing. Another bundle, huh? A battle group. More bundles, huh? More bundles. I think they are doing bundles in general for 40k. Horde armies are great, not with GW pricing though. That's the big problem. That's the big problem. You have to go to like Mantic Games and get like hundreds of miniatures for 10 pounds. So is there anything people like there? Anything that we're super interested in? For me personally, I think that the old world stuff looks really cool. I think Cathay is a definite highlight for me. I want to see Monkey Man though. Where's my Monkey Man? I want to see the Monkey King. Give me the Monkey King, Games Workshop. Hey, $2 donation from Sapien Underground. Thank you very much, says, love your work. Brings joy to my world. Cheers. Thank you. I'm really happy. I'm really happy you get some joy out of the content. I try to make it fun. Thank you very much. I don't always make it fun. I don't always succeed in it. But, you know, if I can get at least a dirty pun in there somewhere, then it was a video worthwhile. It was a video worthwhile. They need female assassins models, that for sure, says Commander HL, or a female leader. I'm thinking of one Bloodthirsty one from Elite History. This is for Cathay. Don't they have, like, they have definitely a named character, I think, who's a woman. Well, she's like a dragon, so, you know, but it's a feminine dragon. I grew up on monkey magic. Good times, says Commander HL. I have never heard of monkey magic, but I want to know the monkey magic. I want to know about monkey magic. How does that happen? What's monkey magic? I would love to see the Monkey King. I think there's a lot of scope for Warhammer Fantasy to continue growing in, which I think is really cool. I have no idea what the numbers look like, though, because from what I understand, I don't know how well it's selling. It doesn't get talked about very much. you know? It doesn't get talked about very much at all. It's really hard to get it decipher like how popular it is. I'd have to really look into it. I love to play Cathay, says Patrick. Cathay would be cool. I'd love to play like I love to play an Indian faction. Araby would be really cool. There's all sorts of spaces there. Like I love the Empire. My problem with the Empire though is that what I loved about the Empire was that you could make a gun line. So whenever I was into fantasy, when I got into fantasy in like the mid 2000s, I was like, I'm gonna make a gun line army. I want to have loads of riflemen. And it's really unfun to play against, playing a gun line. So I kind of just, it wasn't fun for my opponents, and that kind of made it not fun for me. So that's sad. I have not seen Monkey Magic. I don't know what Monkey Magic is. I mean, I would love to see Monkey Magic. This sounds like a cool, like a really cool Monkey Magic job. But no, I have not seen Monkey Magic. I'm afraid to say. I hobby every day. I'm hobbying every single day. Building models. I'm actually working right now. So I'm working right now in my Carnivale squad. And guys, maybe you can help me with this. I'm trying to get pink. Okay? I've bought intense pink from AK. I bought princess pink speed paint. I bought pixie pink war paints fanatic. I've bought pink potion war paints fanatic. I've bought Kraken lavender because we were going a little bit lavender with it. I got pastel lavender. I got fluid pink. I got Emperor's Children. Right? I got so much pink. I'm trying to make it work and I cannot get it to work. Let me show you. These are I'm trying to slap chop my patricians models. Oh. And they just aren't coming out the way I want them to come out. I'm thinking I might actually just give up. I'm less close to just giving up and trying a different color scheme, going for like a red and blue vibe or something. But I was trying to go for like a sort of, because these are meant to be like rich nobles. So I was trying to go for like a really, you never see colors like this, like lavender and like pink and stuff. And I've got a color scheme for each of the factions. I have a guild force that's all red. I have a Vatican force, which is purple and white. And so I wanted my patrician force to be a different color scheme. But I didn't want to go blue. Blue is like the color for the patricians, but I don't like blue that much. So I wanted to go for like more of a pinky lavender kind of like old school nobility vibe. And it's so hard, guys. It's just so hard to make it work. I can't do it. Robert Sergi says, I'd use flesh pink, then use other pinks for shading and highlights. So you use flesh pink? Okay. So I am loath to do the heavy metal style painting where I apply a base coat and then I do highlights. I do like to use my speed paints, you know? But it's just not been coming out very well. Like I wonder if I should have, so what I did was I slap chopped them. So I sprayed them black and then I dry brushed them white. I'm wondering, should I have just sprayed them white? Would that have come out better? I do flesh pink, then use other pink. Yeah. Mix red and white. You want me to make pink, Evil Bear? You want me to, like, make it? You want me to, like mix colors to create it? So, paints wise. So this is why you don't see hobby content from me. People are always like, Discourse Minis. All she does is complain. Never see her do any hobby content. And the reason why I don't do hobby content is because you don't want to see my hobby content. My hobby content is I do the minimum amount of work to get the maximum result for my miniatures for tabletop quality, which is to say I just paint things with contrast. I just slap chop things all the time. I just try to like minimize, because I realized a long time ago that if I were to complete armies, if I were to like actually get miniatures from A to B, get them from complete unpainted to finished, I have to do so in a fast amount of time, because I want to play a game of it. Like my interest is in gaming, so I want to play a game of it ASAP. So I try to like just get the miniatures painted. So I would like to get this entire gang done in a day. That would be my goal, right? So I'm just trying to apply speed paints and be like, why isn't this coming out well? And I'm beginning to think that the paint might not be the, like pink might not be the color. I'm not sure if I can do pink. And I agree, pink, yellow, these are both really hard. Yeah, orange is just really tough. And like, how do you make it come out nice, you know? Like, this pink is okay, but you can still see the sort of white coming through. So now I'm like, okay, well, maybe I don't use a speed paint. Maybe I just start using my Emperor's Children to just create a solid block. But then it'll have no shading. It'll be a cloak with no shading to it whatsoever. I find it really hard to get the paints, to get the colors, for bright colors. I find it hard to get gradients in them. Like, I see pictures, right? Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna actively look for a picture that I saw today that I was like, okay, these look cool. So I saw these today and was like trying to follow it. So we're gonna look up patrician models painted for Carnivale. Here we go. Right? So I want to know, you guys tell me, okay? How was this achieved? How did this person paint these? Tell me, chat. I know I'm meant to be telling you things. You tell me, right? So I'm trying to like get these rich color schemes. And I don't want to hear the idea that it took him 3 hours and he started with the dark color and then he slowly, gradually went up in hues. I don't like this idea. It would take too long. Use Bugman Glow. What's Bugman Glow? What color primer are you using? So I was doing Chaos Black, and then I was dry brushing with White Scar to do a slap chop method. So it's very dark in the recesses. Then I was going to apply my speed paints on at that stage, but it's coming out not good at all. Elysium says, could you do a contrasting shadow color like teal to make the pink stand out more? So I was thinking that. I might try and hit up Dana Hoyle and be like, Dana, how do I do pink? If anyone were to know how to do this well, it'd be her. I think I heard her say once about yellow. I think maybe underpainting it, like doing yellow as the primer and then going to pink from there. Gradients. So sorry. No! I don't want to do that though. Specifically, I was trying to figure out like, how does this color happen? I love these models, by the way. Very good models. So this is the model. This is the one you guys were looking at there. So I think, is it just they're using white and then just kind of slowly dry brushing down? Dark purple for the darkest, magenta middle. Try gray sear primer. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, do I do gray, then dry brush the white and just lift the kind of underlying brightness up a little? Because the models can't be bright, right? Like it's Carnivale, so they're dressed very fancily, and they're the olden days and everyone wore really bright colors. So I'm happy to go a little bit bright, but I don't want to go I don't want it to look cartoonish, you know? So yeah, I might just have to respray some of these. Hopefully I don't lose too many details. That's not pure white at the top, but like close to white. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. I've got it backwards, Elrond. Yeah, you have it backwards. You make yellow look better over a pink undercoat. God damn it. We base pink, then do yellow on top, and it looks so much better than white or black. Okay. When you're doing that, by the way, are you just like spraying it pink and then dry brushing yellow? Or like dry brushing white on top of it? Like, how does that work? Very marshmallow. I bought like 30 pinks. I was like, I gotta get a pink. I need a pink that works because I've had no success. I tried to do my Bushido Silvermoon Trade Syndicate faction. I tried to do them in pink using I think it was using contrast paints at the time, and it came out horrible. It just did not work at all. So I think some models I think some colors just do not work well in contrast. Alas, which sucks because I'd like to get a pink colored faction. I think that would be really cool. And you know, the Emperor's Children came out very recently, like relatively recently. So I'd be surprised that there isn't tons of tutorials out there. Unfortunately, they're all like painted over metal and things. Well, yeah, there we go. On that note, I think we're going to close up shop today, guys. We've gone through all the news. We got the most unbelievable news ever. thank you very much for your help. If you haven't already, check out Little Big War. I'm going to plug this, by the way, in every single video for a while. So I hope you enjoy hearing the words real-time strategy game action, because the game is really fun. 2 unique factions. Games take less than an hour, because they're super weapons. You get nuclear weapons. So someone's going to blow somebody up. Somebody gets blown up. It's going to happen. There's a nuclear weapon, and there is like the Finger of God. I can't remember what the other one is called. It's the Arcane Obliterator, maybe? But it obliterates. I can't remember the exact name, but it obliterates. So there are super weapons. 2 distinct factions. And in the Discord, there are links to buildings and structures. If you don't have any buildings, but you get to build a base, train some units, and go to war. It's pinned. It's pinned on the chat. Neon pink and gunmetal black is a great combo, says Darth Staticus. Yeah, I'm trying to go for bright all over, though. I'm trying to go for like pastel-y kind of lavenders and things like that. For the best pink stink birthday cake. I want a bright pink, but I don't want it too intense. You know what I mean? It's hard. I guess I just don't have the vision for it. I guess I just don't have the vision for it. I'm going to break down and just do them in like black and red or something. I'll just do blues. Blues would be very easy, you know? See what I'm going to say is congrats. I saw your game top selling on the site. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Still trying to pay off the art. I'm not done yet. I'm still in the red or black. No, black is good. Being in the black is good. I'm in the red, so I'm still paying off the art, actually. Yeah. Spears Machinery says, reminder, there's some stuff in the Discord for Little Big War. I've been looking for printables and linking them. Others have been creating standees to use. Yes, indeed, they have been. So there is like a Little Big... If you join my Discord, there is a Little Big War channel. People have been sharing stuff. See them in the painting and 3D printing channel as well. There's been stuff being shared there. So go check it out. Conquest has an Arab Indian-inspired faction, Sorcerer Kings. Just because I have it right here... Just because I have it, like, sitting right there. Indeed, I'm aware of this. I have them. I really dig them. I really like the Sorcerer King faction. I'm telling you guys, I play every single war game. There is, like, you could name a war game, and I have probably either played it or playing it. Don't do that, though, by the way. I'm sure there's lots of games I haven't played. It's funny, because I feel like I get a lot of criticism for never playing the games. I'm pretty sure I've played... Like, I think I'm the most well-played wargamer on YouTube. I have to admit. I have to say. I play a lot of variety of war games. Legions of Steel. Okay, you got me, Sapient Underground. I have not played that game. The first game is like, nope, I haven't played that. Patrick McCarty says, a glossy white with a type of red makes a pink that's kind of bright. Okay, interesting. See, I guess I need to like reassess what I want from it. But I was just kind of trying to go for like a nice pink color scheme, kind of purpley kind of jackets, but then like pink cloaks and pink like scarves. You know, like the accent color would be pink. You know, Paranoid the game. I played Paranoid. I played Paranoia, but I haven't played Paranoid the game. Paranoia is the RPG. Twilight 2000. I've read the book, but I haven't played it. Okay, you got me there. And that's an RPG. That's an RPG. I said war games. Twilight 2000 is not a war game. Although it does have a little wargamey kind of vibes to it. I was actually going to be part of a group that were streaming Twilight 2000, but that ended up falling apart for separate reasons. Okay, guys. I gotta go, because this sake has done a number on me. So I need to look, and I need to do some research into pink. I need to be tickled pink, people. I need to look into it. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. We're going to be going live again in 2 weeks. I'm going to at least, maybe more often. I'm maybe going to try and get some streams in during the week. I'm going to try and get some streams in during the week. So we're going to try that. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out. I'm trying to build up the streaming again. Because I noticed my numbers were down. Because I took a big break from streaming. Then when I came back, the numbers were down. So we're going to try and build it up again, people. We're going to try and build a community again. We're going to try and get some regular streams going. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everybody who picked up a Little Big War. I really, really appreciate it. It really does help me out. Certainly has helped me pay off the art. I hope you all have a lovely Sunday. I hope you have a great Sunday. Get plenty of rest and have a good time. And I'm going to catch you again soon. Keep an eye on the channel. Do like and subscribe as well if you do want to find out about more future live streams, or join the Discord as well, because I will announce them ahead of time every single time. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye. I don't know when it's gonna cut, so we're gonna do this. This is the awkward bit where I just kind of leave, sadly.